Alright, hello. I figured I'd make a video covering certain topics on how to play and gear a warrior in Classic WoW because I've seen a lot of information, especially in videos on YouTube by really popular content creators that are basically rehashing old incorrect information that is not applied to WoW Classic and can lead to you gearing and playing your warrior incorrectly. And I've seen a lot of warriors do this, and it's pretty sad, I'd say. So I figured I'd just make a quick video. There are a couple of videos out there like this that do have the correct information, but they usually just throw formulas at you like willy-nilly, and it can get kind of intimidating. But I'll just try and go through it pretty quickly and easily for you, so it's easy to parse. So the first topic I'm going to go through is how much hit chance do you need and how much weapon skill do you need as a warrior. Mostly DPS, but tanks probably too. I mean, I'm not much of a tank, but I can imagine it applying to them too. It's a bit different for other melees. It's similar to other melees, but like say rogues, for example, I know gear a bit differently than warriors, so I'm going to specify this to warriors in particular. But I mean, the mechanics work similarly for rogues. It's just that the amount of things you want are a bit different. But yes, so for warriors, I'm just going to get straight to it. For warriors, you always want to reach 305 weapon skill, no matter what. So orcs and humans have ratios that increase their weapon skill to 305 in certain weapons. Orcs get axes, and humans get swords and maces. So you always want to use swords and maces as a human, and unless you have something like edge masters, or you want to always use axes as an orc. It's such a huge increase that pretty much if you're not doing that, you're doing something wrong. And by the time you get 305 weapon skill, you want 6% hit. 6% hit at 305 weapon skill lets you reach the yellow hit cap, which means that all your yellow hits will not miss. So yellow hits are Heroic Strike, Bloodthirst, anything that basically gets a yellow damage number, so any skill basically. Your white hit cap is basically unreachable. It's really high, especially if you're dual wielding. You get like a big dual wield miss penalty. Basically, it's not reachable. You shouldn't try and gear for it. It's not worth it. Just gear to the yellow hit cap and you're good. So why do we want 305 weapon skill? I'm putting the numbers on the screen right now if you want to go through the actual formula or the numbers exactly, and I've also linked in the description basically the full-on data for it. It's the Meiji GitHub. It's got a bunch of that shit if you really want to look into it. But basically, getting to 305 weapon skill does a bunch of stuff for you. So 305, it reduces your chance to miss by 3%, basically gaining you 3% hit. It's not actually 3%, it basically reduces your chance to miss by 2%, but then gets rid of the 1% inherent penalty to hit which bosses at level 63 have. So it's basically 3% hit you gain from it. And also what it does is it reduces your glancing blow penalty by 30, or what is it, by 20%, yes. So glancing blows, it's basically you have a set chance, you have 40% chance of glancing blow with any Y hit. Always, you can't change that. But at 300 weapon skill, glancing blow penalty is 35%, so your hit's going to do 35% less damage. At 305 weapon skill, it only does 15% less damage. So that's a big increase. That's actually bigger than you think. And considering that 40% of your blows are going to glance of your white hits, it's pretty nice. So basically, the 5 weapon skill you gain from 300 to 305, you get 3% hit plus 20% less glancing penalty, which is huge. It's really big, which is why if you're not a human or an orc and you don't have any weapon racials, you want to get edge masters no matter what. Or you can, I guess, if you want to do daggers, you can go aged core leather gloves for molten core, or like something like Mugger's belt or whatever to get to 305 weapon skill. It's really important. If you don't do that, you're really doing something wrong. Getting for 9% hit, which is what you need for yellow hit cap on 300 weapon skill, is never really worth it because you're still not getting the glancing penalty reduction. So you're basically getting a bunch of hit with a lot less gain from it, basically. So I always get to 305 weapon skill if you're a warrior. It's huge. Yes. So hits after the yellow hit cap is not, it drops off pretty hard in value, but it's not useless. So you have basically the biggest thing it does after your yellow hit cap is it increases your white crit cap for your white hits, yes. So the way the white hits work is you basically have a set percent chance to get a white crit. I'll put the formulas on screen right now. This is one of those things that if you look at it, you might not be able to really parse it because it's a bunch of numbers. Basically, there's a bunch of set things your white hits can do when you hit a boss from behind in WoW Classic. And like, for example, you have 40% hit chance to Glancing Blow at all times, and Glancing Blows can't crit. So it's part of this thing. When you Glancing Blow, you can't crit, so there's 40% chance. So basically, because of that, you can basically never crit 40% chance at the time. And then there's a bunch of other things that also push crit off. So at the end of the day, at 3 or 5 weapon skill, basically your white crit cap is 34% plus how much hit you have. So if you have 6% hit at 3 or 5 weapon skill, which is what you want to aim for, you have a 40% crit cap, which is pretty good. So at this point in time, it's pretty easy to reach 40%, as it turns out. So with world buffs, it's pretty easy. It's pretty hard not to get it, I don't think you can really get it without world buffs, but with the world buffs, it's pretty straightforward to get. I hit it quite easily with the world buffs. So every one hit after 6 adds 1 more percent to your white crit cap, which sounds pretty huge. I mean, it sounds pretty nice, right? But it's not as big as you might think because of the way the Heroic Strike interacts with your offhand hits right now, which is one of the new things the Warrior theory crafters or whatever discovered in WoW Classic, is that whenever, and I'll make a video on this topic entirely, but whenever you Q Heroic Strike or cleave any on next hit attack, whenever one of those is queued, your offhand dual wield penalty doesn't, it removes it basically. So it's it's the same as just having one weapon, which means that your crit cap for your offhand when you have a Heroic Strike queued is increased by a lot. So you basically can't really hit that cap. So that diminishes the value of additional hit after the yellow hit cap as well. But yes, hit isn't useless after the yellow hit cap, but you want to generally gear for other stuff after that if you can. So more crit or more AP. So how's weapon skill after 305? So 305 is the point you want to reach for sure. 305 to 308, you don't get any more hit from it. It goes from, I'm putting the numbers on the screen right now, but it goes from 6% mischance to 5.7, which is not, it's not amazing. It doesn't really affect your gearing at all, so basically you ignore that. But it does reduce your glancing penalty from 15% to 5%, which is not nothing. It's pretty good. So 308 is not terrible to reach, but I wouldn't aim for it ever. But if you just happen to reach it, I guess that's fine, because you do still get value from it. But I would definitely aim for 305 and not 308. After 308, you don't want web skill at all. It basically does nothing. It really drops off, and you just shouldn't bother with it. But yes, 308 is not terrible, but 305 is really what you want to hit. And yeah, that's about it. It's pretty easy. I mean, basically, there's a bunch of numbers here. You don't really need to think about it too much unless you really want to go hard on, getting your character optimal. But basically, if you're at 305 weapon skill, get 6% hit. If you're not at 305 weapon skill, get 305 weapon skill and get 6% hit. Never go above 308 weapon skill. It's not worth it. And, I mean, barely even go to 308. It's probably not worth it. It might be if you want to do the math, calculate it, but yes, just do that, and that's pretty much it. So all this data I got from the Fight Club Discord, which is one of the best resources out there. You can just Google Fight Club Warrior Discord. I would say if you want to join Fight Club Discord, don't ask any questions before reading all the information out there, because this Discord has a lot of information in it already, and in FAQs and stuff. Read all that stuff, and then maybe go and ask your questions if it doesn't get covered in any of these channels. Because if you ask a question that's already answered in one of the FAQs or any of the pins or whatever, they'll chew you out, me included. So yes, do your homework before asking questions in that Discord. But yes, the Fight Club Discord is an amazing place if you want knowledge on how Warriors and WoW Classic works, and just melees in general. But yes, that's pretty much it. I'll link some stuff in the description for where this information all came from and stuff. And I'll have a few more videos like this coming out in the future. And yes, WoW Classic, pretty fun as it turns out. Warriors, pretty fun as well. Alright, see you later.